Thanks for watching. I'm Susie. I hope you've been watching because to just jump in, you don't know where I'm coming from, I guess. But I've laid all this foundation my whole life to um, get to this point where I'm in my 60s and, just burying my soul, all my truth. And if you haven't watched previously, you won't get it probably. Um, but watch this one and then start at the beginning. So I'm going to talk about when I was in the wonderful North Point Church. I told you Andy Stanley's church in Alpharetta, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, and loved that church. Anyway, I had got to the point where I told you that I was with this guy for 7 years. He was actually a former Baptist pastor, and I, had an intimate relationship with him for 7 years. And he didn't like my church. He was a fundamentalist, and he didn't like any churches, really. I mean, every time he didn't have a church. Every church he went to, he was very critical of it. He would talk to a pastor afterwards and try to debate with him. That's what he was. Because he was a pastor. He really belonged. He should have had his own church, and he did, but, you know, things didn't work out. And so he was kind of a little lost in that way. Uh, anyhow, so during that time when I was with that guy, I was going to North Point Church. He wouldn't go with me. He went with me once and he wouldn't go back. I sat by myself many, many years, prayed, and finally my son started coming with me, and he came with me for many years. And after a while, after I broke up with that guy, I really felt like I wanted to get more involved in church. I felt like I wanted to get closer to God. Um, I wanted to, and I was also getting high with him, um, eating brownies on the weekend. And so I got into the Christian singles group, and Celebrate Atlanta had a lot of the same people in it. And I started sitting with some of the people that I met socially, and so I was connecting more, and I joined a small group, which you're always encouraged to do in most of the churches these days. Good idea. So the first small group I joined, the leader, Diane, sweet soul, love her, she pulled me aside one day and told me that she thought that I should be a leader, that I would make a good leader. She wanted me to be a group leader. She wanted to recommend me for that. But I declined because I had started seeing this other guy in these social groups that I was dating, and we had this ongoing relationship for 2 years that never should have happened. It wasn't a good idea. I wanted to marry the guy. I was in love with him, but he was not feeling the same about me. He was a player. Um, so, and it was really sad because he was playing all these Christian girls, that you know, deserve better. That's all I could say. So, um, I was in the small group, and then after a while, I joined a different small group, which was my best, that I really liked a lot. Um, but let me tell you uh, um, about that guy. I got to finish, okay? Um, I started this out thinking about a Netflix series, and that's why I say if you watch, hopefully, maybe you can kind of keep track of some of the characters that come back. I don't know if you could do that. I mean, if you could see them like on Netflix, it would be a lot easier. But so what happened with that guy was that, we he told me in the beginning he wanted to be able to date other girls if he had that whim, but he definitely wanted to keep seeing me, and we did for over 2 years. So of course we got very close over 2 years, and I don't understand anybody who doesn't. I mean, I really don't get it because being in this Christian singles group, I met people like, um, who were even virgins in their 60s. Um, the women mostly had these lists of things that they would check off about the man they want. He has to be this and this and this and this. And most of the guys, either they were never married or um, I don't know. They were just having too much fun because everybody's partying all the time. I don't know. They weren't looking for a serious relationship. If they were, it was hard to tell because they weren't aggressive enough, I think. That might have been the whole problem there. I don't know. But the women thought they weren't perfect enough. Maybe the men were looking for the perfect women. I don't know, but they just weren't matching up, which I felt like they should have been. But anyway, so this guy, he said, I want to be able for you to date. And I said, fine. I liked him so much. I thought, well, I'd rather see him sometimes than not see him at all. So I said, fine. And I did the same. I dated other guys and he dated other girls. But the thing was that we didn't talk to each other about it. And we kept that separate from our relationship. And the women that he saw, I didn't know who he was seeing, when he was seeing them. I didn't want to know. And he was the same way with me. But after 2 years, through the grapevine, through a mutual friend, I heard about this other girl that really fell for him, who thought she was like telling all the girlfriends, "Oh, I'm so in love with him," and all this crap. Anyway, um, because she had a couple dates with him, maybe only one, I don't know, but so I heard this, and this lady I knew from church, um, and I was just starting to get friendly with her because she was really coming on to me like she really wanted to be friends with me. So I was starting to get friendly with her, and she was in the Christian group, and I brought her to the Celebrate Atlanta group, and I thought we were going to be friends, and then I heard this. And so I said to her, I said, "Hey, I heard that you're in love with this guy." I said, "You can't be in love with him because I'm in love with him." And, then she told me that, he was so awesome and like he took her out, I don't know, 1, 2 times or something. I don't know. But, she was totally flipped over him and everything. And, then she was real curious about my relationship with him. And of course, she's asking me all these questions. And, I told her, I just said, I've been seeing him for over 2 years. I said, I know him very well, and I'm in love with him. If you want to be my friend, you can't see him at the same time, and but so she said she would stop seeing him, but it really bothered me a lot because I pictured him and her together because whoever else he was seeing ever, I didn't know who it was. I didn't hear about it, didn't see it. So it was kind of, out of mind, where they say out of sight, out of mind, I just didn't think about it because he kept seeing me and our relationship, was the same. It grew somewhat. And then, I guess it was the same for a while. But, this one bothered me because I knew her. And I also knew that she was not used to dating. Um, she was new in the dating scene. And I felt sorry for her because I knew that this guy was going to hurt her. I had no doubt she was not his type. I knew he was going to hurt her. And I thought she was a nice person. I felt really sad for her, you know. So anyway, when that happened, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle the thought of him seeing her or anybody else after that. So I called him up and I told him off. I mean, I had this, boiling up inside of me for a long time. I was putting up with all that crap. But, of course it bothered me on the inside. But I kept on hoping that he would see how good we were together. And, I really wanted to marry the man. Um, but this just like, it was just a big wake up call reality thing for me. And I just said, no, I gotta, get rid of him. I can't do that anymore. It's no good. It's not going anywhere. He's never going to change. I thought I would change him, but that didn't happen. Now I know better. I don't try to change anybody. So, I called him and I told him, that I found out he was seeing her and that she was supposed to be a friend of mine and that, it just disgusted me, because I knew he was going to play her and hurt her. And, I couldn't put up with his crap anymore, and I just told him off. I mean, I really cussed him out and told him off. And that was it. Period. No more. Never saw him. I mean, I never had, private time with him again after that. Um, and the lady, continued to be friends with me. She kept on pumping me for information about him. She wanted to hear all the details, which I would not tell her. Um, and I found out a year later that she um, lied to me all that time, that she was still seeing him. Um, they didn't have a very much of a relationship, but she was still, you know, pursuing whatever little bit they had, trying to, get closer to him, seeing him once in a while, whatever. And, where she was calling me my friend and trying to, um, get me to talk about him and all that. And, I didn't like that at all. So cut her off. Um, that's not the way you do girlfriends. Mm-mm. So, let me go back to my story. So when I was in that first group, I did not feel like I was in the right place to be a group leader because I was in the relationship with that guy. And that was messing me up spiritually. So then my second small group from North Point that I joined, um, and I didn't leave because of that. I think the group broke up for some reason. It was a nice group. It was, and I was in three different small groups with women that were all single women, and they were all older, you know, older single women, um, kind of around my age. So I was always one of the oldest ones, always. Uh, anyway, second group I went to was really cool. The leader was a Jewish Christian, and what we did in group was we just straight read the Bible. And I love that because most small groups have a study guide. And you have to buy the study guide, and it's like questions and answers, and they tell you what to talk about and all this kind of stuff. I don't go so much for that kind. Anyway, the second group I joined was just straight. We're going to read the Bible, and I love that. And me and I'd say two other ladies and me had a really good, strong background. Um, so that was real good. Uh, because you're in a group with some don't know much. Some are just reading, learning, studying for the first time even. So it's especially if you're not using a study guide like that, it's important to have some good, strong background. And it was me and two other ladies that we really helped uh, understanding the scriptures and stuff. I think it went very well. It went really good, really smooth. One of the off, one of the things that I loved, cool things, was that when it came around close to Easter, Passover time, because our leader was a Jewish Christian, um, she did a seder for us. It was so cool. She said usually the man of the house does it, and she never let out in a seder before, but she did it for us and for the group, and that was awesome. Um, every Christian should do seder sometime for the experience. Very meaningful, beautiful celebration. And so I was in that small group, and then that went on for a couple of years, 2 years maybe, and then um, broke up for some reason, and then formed another small group from one of the ladies that was in that small group. She decided to lead out, and we moved to her house. And these groups are like about 10 women. They usually start out more than that, and then usually there's a few that drop out. They usually end up around 10, and sometimes there'll only be 6 people there. But that's a good size for a group to bond well and get intimate, which is a good thing. Because if you share and pray for each other, it really helps you grow spiritually, and it can be healing and form friendships and all that stuff. So the third group I went to was we did have study guide, and I think we did that. Um, but it was also a good group. Love those ladies, and we would always, all the groups, we would do once in a while we do a social, maybe drink some wine, maybe go out to eat or something like that. Um, and but I went to this other group after that later on, and that was my friend that I've talked about previously, the Dutch guy, right? Um, he organized this group. It was called Untying the Knots. And it was a great big thick binder full of, great big study guide. And, um, uh, it was limited to that period of time, but it went on for a while. I think it was maybe like 3 months or something. I don't know. We always, all those small groups meet once a week. Well, he started this group, and like it says, Untying the Knots, it's like kind of like I was talking about in previously, with the holistic healer guy, like what he was talking about, and if you go for any kind of therapy or holistic stuff, they'll talk about, how um, you have knots inside of you, right? Physical, but spiritual, emotional stuff that goes on that every time you get stressed or traumatized, it's like another knot, and it clogs up your systems physically and spiritually. So anyway, this is a very Christian, Christ-centered Bible study thing, but with that focus on untying the knots. Let go of those things that are holding you back in life and holding you back spiritually and all that stuff. So there was 3 men in the group, and the rest were women. Again, it was about 10, 12 at the most people, and we opened up to each other really good. We talked about some intimate things and studied the Word, and it was really, really good, very nice group. Um, and part of it, what we came out of there with, was learning to tell your personal testimony, your story of how you came to Christ, and um, why you believe, your life story, talking about your knots and how you untied them and that kind of thing. So we learned to do that. We actually mapped out our life, and from the beginning when we were little, talked about different milestones, and how we progressed emotionally and spiritually and that kind of thing. It was really, really good. Cost, paid over $100 for the materials and everything. And we had to rent a place, I think, to do it and all that. So um, that was all good. That's leading somewhere. So one of the guys in the group, um, his name is Dave. I don't think he would mind me saying so. He was a lot younger than me, at least 15 years, maybe 20 years younger than me. But I met him and became friends with him through that group. So when it was his birthday came around, and that was after, that was like months after the group had disbanded because we finished. But we were still kind of friends and kept in touch, and we would run into each other once in a while. And he invited me to his birthday, which he did every year at Lake Lanier, on one of the islands, Lake Lanier. He had a boat, and he would go out to one of the islands and stay there like all weekend for his birthday. So he invited me to come out, and I said, yeah, sounds like fun. So I brought my girlfriend with me, and brought a little pup tent and some blow-up mattresses and some camping gear and whatnot to spend the night. And um, he picked us up on with his boat, brought us out to the island. Now he had another group of friends that was there that day, but when he picked us up, he dropped them off. So it was just me and him and my girlfriend that I brought, the three of us. And we got there, we arrived like late in the afternoon. We fired up the grill and cooked up some burgers, and um, you know, just hung out, and it was all nice, had a nice evening. Um, and then it was supposed to rain that night. So um, I had set up the pup tent. Now he had a tent, just a shade, just a shade type of tent. Um, and he put it over my tent because it was supposed to storm. And he said he was going to sleep out in the boat. And so that's what we did. And in the middle of the night, boy, it started storming. I mean, it was really storming. The wind was whipping, it was pouring like crazy. Um, my little pup tent had a window on one side, um, flap, and the rain was coming in, and my girlfriend had to like sleep on my side with me because the rain was coming in on that side. And we're thinking about him out there on the boat, worrying about him. And he was worrying about us. And it was just lightning and thunder, crazy all night, wind and rain. And I was really worried about him, um, out there, thinking that he might have drifted away somewhere in the boat. Didn't know what might have happened to him. Hope it didn't overturn somehow or something. Anyway, he was fine. He was glad we were fine. We took the boat out, um, had breakfast somewhere out there, and um, Bloody Marys and mimosas. It was his birthday, and we were like, phew, we survived that storm. It was crazy, crazy stuff. So, anyway, to get back to my uh, spiritual stuff going on. Okay, so I'm at the church, and I had been going to that church, for like over 10 years. And one day, Andy in the sermon, now I can't quote him word for word, but he said something like this. He said something like, is it time already? Time up? Oh my goodness, I've been talking 25 minutes. Okay, gotta cut it off. I'll pick it up in a minute.